Hi everyone, this is just a quick video showing you some of the tricks from Excel, and this is what you need to do the coefficient of friction lab. So I've given you the labs in your teams, and this is just just a few tricks so we can figure this out and not have to do this all by hand. So I found the weight of the boot, right? And this is the mass that I applied in the boot, and then I drug it across the table each time, and that there's telling you a little comment. So that says it's the boot only. And so I've titled it Coefficient of Friction Lab. I've made a little table here for you automatically. If you want to make a few things fit, if you want to make like the weight doesn't say newtons all the way there, so I'm just going to double click it. This one, same thing, force of friction, so I made it bigger. So this is all your information. So I want to show you a few tricks so you can do this. So if I want the weight is simply mass times gravity, right? So it's just what's in the bracket times gravity. And that would be still 0, and I want to fill those all in. So when I do that, if I go back, so I get out of there, I click on that box, and if I go to my cursor, change to black, so that little black cursor, left click on it and drag it down, and it'll automatically fill in those numbers for you. Now there's a trick here, there's a problem. We also have to include the weight of the boot, so I'm going to go back to that first one. I'm going to go up to my bar at the top, and I'm going to add in the weight of the boot, but I'm going to add in where it is over here. So if I want to change the weight of the boot, I can automatically change it. I could add 12.6 every one of those boxes, but that's not going to be effective. So I'm going to put a $sign in here. This $X, and it says when you go down, when I go down to each of these next ones, notice in this one it was A4 plus I4. This one is A5 plus A4. I can pull it all the way down, and it's going to add them all for me automatically, but it keeps that I4. So if I change the weight of my boot to 20, automatically changes them all for me. Put it back to 12.6, changes them back for me. Now, I also want to figure out the coefficient of friction, and the coefficient of friction is equal to the force of friction divided by the normal force. And anytime you put in a formula, you always have to have an equal sign at the front. So that equal sign, if you don't have the equal sign, it won't work for you. So it's where the force of friction is divided by the weight, or the normal force, because they're equal. There's my coefficient of friction. If I go over there and do the autofill, so the cursor changed again, click and drag that down, so left click, drag that down, fills them in automatically for me. Probably don't need that be that precise, so I want to change my decimals. Up here it says increase decimal, reduce decimal, decrease decimal, so I'm just going to go to 2 decimal places. And then if I want the average of all of them, which is what the lab says, I can take the average. The average is lower than any one of those values because I have no value for this here. I actually put in 1.7, but I didn't measure it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my cursor is on the 8, and I'm going to right click on it, and it says delete. So I'm going to delete that whole cell. And the other thing I can do, because these aren't in order, if I take these and highlight them and go over here where it says sort and filter, so sort smallest to largest, it'll say expand the selection. This means everything that goes with it carried over, so I'm just going to sort it, and it's sorted in an order for me. Notice the coefficient of friction is 0.43, so that's pretty consistent. We want that number to be like that the whole way through, so that worked out well. The other piece you need for this is we're going to need a graph. However, we made a little problem here because the graph calls for the force of friction on the y-axis and the weight on the x-axis, and I think this will work out. So I'm going to do this. And I'm going to highlight what I want to graph, and then go up here where it says insert, and I'm going to go through here, and I want charts, and there's different ones here. There's line charts, bar graphs, all that stuff, but I want a scatter plot, and I want a scatter plot that just has the points on it. So I'm going to do that, and then this will save you time. So go back to the video. If you can't see, rewind it, watch it. It says quick layout, and the quick layout in this one here, I call it number 9. Quick layout number 9, I'll choose that one. And it puts all the information on for me. So it gives me an axis title, so I can change this to the normal force, because that's what we're supposed to call it. Put your units in there. Do the same thing up here. And this one would be force of friction. Always put those units in. They are more important the further you get on in life. Force of friction versus normal force for work boot on floor. So you want to be precise. If you had a whole bunch of these, you'd have to have a whole bunch of different names. So I've got my graph drawn. I'm going to click on that because I don't need the legend, doesn't tell me much. This number right here, that 0.4079, that is the slope. One of your questions is the slope and the coefficient of friction, the average, close to each other? Yes, they are. The question is why. I'm not telling you why. I'm going to leave that to you. But that is how you fill in your table. So when you go to your Word document, all you have to do now, highlight all that, Control-C, go over to your Word document, Control-V, bam, it's in the place you want it. The graph, same thing, click on the graph. So if you ever get this highlighting, you want to get rid of it, you press Escape, so go over to the graph, Control-C, I can put it back, Control-V, wherever I want, I can paste that into my Word document as well. If you're working with Word Online, this is not going to work for you. It only works if you have the actual software installed. You can still do some stuff. You can still do the table. If you can't do the graphs, you'll give me a shout, let me know. But you should still be able to do all of this with Word Online. So I want everybody to have this in their document. I'd like you also to pass in your actual Excel spreadsheet. And down here on the sheet name, I want you to rename it. So you'd call it Mr. Gaunt's Friction Lab. So I know right in the tab that's yours. And then when you save it, save with your title in it. So this is just a quick thing through that what Excel can do. Even you can just barely scrape the surface. Excel is awesome, and this Excel can do can get you all kinds of work that when other people can't do Excel either. I'm a big fan of Excel. So hopefully that all helped. I'm going to post this Excel document in your in the stuff with the rest of the lab videos. I'm not going to have these numbers in here, of course, but watch back through the video, and hopefully this all makes sense. Thanks.